To America, the polls
Yes.
suggest that Democrat Joe Biden will beat Donald Trump in November. He's got a huge lead now. Whether you trust him or not is a different issue. And that would make him the next president of the United States and the oldest. He's already 77. Now, unfortunately, though, there are now so many examples of Biden seeming to suffer memory fades and seeming suddenly not to know quite where he is. Here's the latest.
Lonnie knows I believe this every fiber of my being. We're posed. What I propose is it can be done. I think we're in a position to really make it happen. And my team and your team are already working closely together to light up the path forward here. Critical laws like the PRO Act to strengthen collective bargaining. On politics like prevailing and look, I guess I'm taking too much time, but
I could play 100 grabs like that. It's so alarming that Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who used to be the White House doctor under both President Obama and President Trump, he's scared. Have a listen.
I'm not comfortable with him being my president. You know, I mean, you got to look at what's going on here. I don't know what's going on. He's obviously, I think he's got some cognitive issues. I'm not going to, as a physician who's never, examined him, I'm not going to make a diagnosis, but
Sure.
As a concerned American who also just happens to be a physician, I'm just going to say that, it's concerning to me that he seems to sometimes not be able to complete a sentence and not really know where he's at or what he's doing. And we've seen that countless times now.
Jim, are you comfortable with Biden becoming president?
Oh, heck no. To your first point, though, Andrew, I don't believe those polls for a second, not in a split second. That's one point. But he's just, and this isn't about politics, this is about his cognitive ability to finish a sentence and make sense. That's not visible. Like you, I've seen dozens of unedited clips. And by that I mean, a chunk of vision more than a minute long, because you can, cut 20 seconds up and really easily take the context away. So I've seen minute-long chunks of vision and longer, and it's very, very clear that something's not quite right. So I don't know what the Democrats are doing, and I don't think the Democrats know what the Democrats are doing. However, first things first, I don't believe those polls. I don't think they're accurate, and I think that that will be proven come election day. And I don't think he's fit. And I think it's actually, forget about politics, it's actually concerning for him. It's concerning to see somebody on the world stage being paraded, for want of a better phrase, and him clearly not being quite right and everybody pretending that he is.
Liz, the doctor we just heard from administered to Trump a couple of years ago cognitive test to, show the reporters, yes, he's, is not away with the fairies. Should a cognitive test actually be given to Joe Biden as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And if that is refused, you've got to ask why. What are these guys hiding? Same reason why we all know Biden will never debate Trump. He can't. It would be an absolute bloodbath. Trump would eat him for breakfast on his best of days. We're talking about a guy who couldn't find his car in a two-tier car park. And it's very clear. Like we've said, there's countless mashups like the one you've just played. You can get onto YouTube, see any number of these. He's a very, very confused man. And the fact that he's being paraded about on the world stage is actually sad, it's cruel, don't know what the Dems are thinking. They had 4 long years to come up with someone better than this. And here we have this man who's clearly mentally struggling. You don't have to embellish it at all. And we're talking about him being commander-in-chief. We're talking about him potentially being the leader of the free world. Absolutely. Do the cognitive test and put everyone's mind at ease, since you've got nothing to hide, Dems.
You're frightening me, yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, we've got a statement from the Chinese embassy, in response to the Morrison government saying it's going to give, number of people in Hong Kong safe passage here, or the right to stay here, to flee the government there. We're not going to extradite people to Hong Kong because of the government there. It says, cop the language here, Gemma. I mean, this is just like, so what kind of people write this? China strongly deplores and opposes the groundless accusations and measures announced by the Australian government, blah, 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 blah. Hong Kong affairs are China's internal affairs. The Australian side has been clanking that they oppose foreign interference. However, they have blatantly interfered in China's internal affairs by making irresponsible remarks on Hong Kong related. Its hypocrisy and double standards exposed in full. And it says, you know, we better not interfere. Otherwise, it will lead to nothing but lifting a rock only to hit its own feet. I mean, wow. Wow. Who writes this stuff?
Well, cranky people write that kind of thing, and it's, I mean, look, like I always do before we talk about China, declare that I have Chinese clients in my day job. Now that that's done, you know, this is not surprising. We've seen this before. It's to be expected. The language we've heard before, it's completely to form. The Australian government did the right thing. That's widely acknowledged. That kind of statement is, again, it's straight from the playbook, and it's indicative of a new reality for Hong Kong that many of us are really grappling to understand. And to be honest, I kind of maybe naively, Andrew, didn't think we'd see to this extent. I mean, I remember I was at university when the UK, when the British Empire handed Hong Kong over. I was still at university then. I remember watching all of that take place and not really putting two and two together. This is what that looks like, you know, 25 years down the track.
I know. I was there at the time. I didn't believe a word of their... I was covering it and didn't believe a word of their assurances they wouldn't interfere. Otherwise, nothing but lifting a rock only to hit its own feet. Honestly, honestly.